Hi! On the Woodpecker today? Yes, I waited for it for 2 months, but now it's in the shop. My new jointer planer combo from the SCM group, the Minimax FS30. This episode will be all about how I've installed my new European-style jointer thicknesser combo, my misadventures, and my first impressions. But most of all, I'd like to say thank you to all my present supporters on Patreon and also everybody who supported me in the past. Because of you, I was able to afford this tool. Yes, it took me 5 years. I kept all your support just for that. I also used all the money I made from the sales of my wooden padlocks. This beauty was not delivered here. No, I had to take a nice 363-kilometer trip to Ontario to pick it up. That way, I saved several $100s that I was able to put into casters and extra knives. 4 hours later, we're back home and we had to take this box out of the trailer. The first thing to do is to back up the box under my first I-beam. There, I had to unscrew the pallet from the trailer's bottom. This is the reason why I love wood as a bottom for a trailer. Then, with a chain block, I lifted the box from the trailer and quickly got it out of the shop. I did it rapidly because it was starting to get cold inside the shop and I wanted to close the door. Then it's time to put that on the floor. Cut the straps and remove the card box around the pallet. No, it's not done. We still need to remove more packaging. Next, well, more straps to cut. Then I'm able to remove the fence and we lift it again, so René can remove the pallet. In the instructions, they say to punch out these holes with a hammer, then plug them with these plastic plugs. But I wasn't about to put a hammer to my brand new toy. Now we are able to install the casters I bought a few weeks ago. These are some Zambus Carrymaster AC300. Each caster is rated for 550 pounds. I just need to screw them under the machine. Everything is there for that. Now it's super easy to move it where it should go. By lowering the levelers, the machine is off the casters and leveled on the floor. The last thing I do on that day is remove the plastic bubble wrap on the cast iron tables. The next morning, after a well-deserved rest, I can finish the installation. Now that the tables can be lifted up, I can clean all the grease on the machine. There's grease everywhere. After about an hour or so, I'm able to put on the thicknesser's table crank and make the electrical hookup. Since this tool is sold all over the globe, the owner has to install the power cord himself. This makes sense because the electrical is not the same everywhere. Before going any further, I protect all the cast iron parts. When the spray is dry, it's time to buff this. Then I slide in place the 3 Thursa knives. This is super fast and easy. I just have to be careful not to cut myself. Then come the guide and the guard. As a matter of fact, the only negative point I found in forums about this machine was this guard. Well, when it will break, I'll make another one out of wood. But before firing up my new toy, I need to make something for the chips. The instructions clearly state that this machine must have a dust collector unit hooked up to it to work properly. This means that I need to modify this dust collector box. The first thing I have to do is to plug the two 4-inch holes in it. So I cut 2 plugs. I can't wait to return my table saw to its proper location. It's taking so much space over there. Now that I have 2 plugs, it's time to glue them in place and cut a 5-inch hole on top. Now that the trap fits, it's time to screw it in place. Then this can be put back in place. Finally, I can try it for the very first time. I'll take this piece of cherry that was already jointed just to see how it will look. By the way, the North American version of this machine doesn't have the same startup switch as the European one. And here's the result. Okay, there are a lot of small lines. I think I've pushed a bit too fast. After passing it through the planer, the lines disappeared. Now I want to make a real test with rough birch planks. But it doesn't take long before I have a major problem. The dust collection is not strong enough. The hose is clogged, but not just the flexible hose, even the pipe. So I remove the dust in all the pipes and try it again. With a good suction, this works like a charm. Wow, I can't remember ever having such a good result. But I can't live like that anymore. I asked for a bit of help from René, and together we put the table saw back to its place. I'm pretty happy that my new tool is on casters, because moving the table saw with a pallet lift is quite a pain. The next morning, I want to do more tests. I begin by planing a 12-inch wide pine board. I think I'll get used pretty quickly to not having a pile of shavings on the floor. Because you might remember my other planer. And when it's done, well, it looks like that. Several nice hours of sanding. This is because of the helical head in this planer. All the inserts don't have the same height. Okay, this is because I had to resharpen them, because buying a set of carbide inserts would have cost me almost the price I paid for the tool. I didn't want to spend another cent on this machine. The dust extraction is so badly conceived with its 90-degree elbow a couple of inches from the head. It's the reason why I now have all this to pick up from the floor. But if only this. I'm going to make another demonstration, but this time around I will use a maple board. Now that I have one side straight, I can plane the other side. But this machine is not powerful enough to push a heavy piece of maple by itself. As soon as I stop pushing or pulling on it, it stops moving. That's the reason why I was always asking René to give me a hand, otherwise I had marks on my wood, just like on this board. This is one of the two places I've stopped pulling on the plank. And this is without counting the joyful hours I spent on sanding this. Now I'll do the same thing, but with my new planer. But before, I have to switch mode. All this takes me 1 minute and 22 seconds. But from here, it doesn't go as expected. No, the hose unplugs itself, and a few seconds later, the planer is clogged and stops working. Really, they were not joking about needing a dust collection system for this tool to work properly. So to hold this hose in place, I've made this. And it's a go for another failure. Look at this. There's no suction in the hose and it's stuck again. But this time around, it's the hose at the cyclone that fell on the ground. Well, another Vaillancourtism. It's here that I say enough is enough. It's time to get rid of this spaghetti of hoses. So I cut a piece of pipe. Here's my new cyclone setup. I think this will be much better. And this gives me a lot of free space. I only have 1 foot of hose now. Finally, I can correctly plane this plank. One thing I can say is that I'm not used seeing a board going through a planer without pulling or pushing on it. Here's the result. I'm super happy. Now I can give you my first impression of the machine. First of all, I was pleased to see that it came in a very sturdy cardboard box. Every time I saw a big machine like that delivered, it was on pallets and only covered with plastic. On top of being thick cardboard, there's even a wooden frame inside. With a cutter of 30 centimeters, it's similar to what I was used to. But the guide to plane the edge grain is a bit flimsy. It's why they have an adjustable steel rod to stiffen it. This helps, as you can see. But I think I'll use a magnet instead. It's quicker and easier to put in place. Speaking for myself, I really like that the dust ports are on the same side like that, unlike some that use the same port and flip it around. It's probably because my dust system is not with pipes over my head. This was the installation of my new Minimax FS30. I really want to say thank you again to everyone who supported me over the years. Without you, this would have been impossible. I'm eager to use it for real, and then I will have a better idea of all its potential. And don't forget to come back for another episode of the Woodpecker.